there has been a lot of negative vibes in the air over the past few hours, and that is mainly because Barcelona have tied against Real Betis 1-1, a result that Barcelona and the rest of the fans did not want. And the reason why this tie does hurt a lot is because Barcelona were supposed to be on a 6-point difference against Real Madrid, because Real Madrid lost against Valencia 2-1. If you just look at this result by itself and we just look at the 1-1 tie and not look at the context around it, we could say that, okay, this was a decent result. Not the best, but decent. But because we could have gone 6 points clear of Real Madrid, that is the reason why there is a lot of negativity. And here's the thing. I really do think that it's important for us to just focus on ourselves. Because if we don't focus on ourselves, if the players don't focus on their individual performances, we're going to be thinking that Barcelona is doing a bad job. When we look at everything overall, Barcelona have been the best team in Europe. This 1-1 draw is a downer. I believe that Hansi Flick's Barcelona has been so good that because we have scored 5 goals here, 4 goals there, 3 goals there, a 1-1 tie does feel like a loss. Very similar to how the Atletico Madrid win, which was 1-0, did feel like a loss. I will not go down and say that Barcelona played bad against Real Betis, because we have had 9 consecutive wins and 21 unbeaten matches in 2025. And in this match against Betis, we have faced a team that has been one of the best this year, and especially in La Liga, very close to FC Barcelona, and they still only managed to get 2 shots on target. Once again, Real Betis have been one of the best goal scoring teams, and only 2 shots on target. I believe that Barcelona have done a phenomenal job, because it could have been much worse. And most importantly, unlike Real Betis, Barcelona have played 4 matches in the past 10 days. Okay, not 2, not 3, but 4 matches. We have been forced to come back and play early after the international break and go up against Osasuna. The players were already very tired. Just because Barcelona do not win and we go for a 1-1 tie or 2-2 tie or whatever, it does not mean that it needs to result in negativity. So this result against Real Betis, it is okay. Once again, context does matter in this situation between Real Betis and FC Barcelona only, because when we look at Real Betis, they had a 14-day break before the match against Sevilla where they won 2-1 on March 30th, right? Like I've said before that, a 14-day break, because the last game they played before the match against Sevilla, which happened on March 30th last week on Sunday, was against Leganés. They played on March 16th. So Real Betis were fresh, and then they went on to the next match on April 5th, which was 6 to 7 days later, going up against Barcelona, which was a 1-1 tie. Real Betis overall were very fresh. They have had enough time to recover, rest, train, understand what to fix and whatnot, and ultimately this is what led towards Real Betis getting decent results overall. Then you look at FC Barcelona, where we did not get a 14-day break. We had like a 9-day break, and in those 9 to 10 days, all of our players were on international duty. On March 27th, we have already came back, going up against Osasuna 3-0. 3 days later, okay, 3 days later, on the exact same day, Real Betis returned from their international break where they won 2-1 against Sevilla. We played against Girona and we won 4-1. And in that same week, right, Barcelona had to go up against Atletico Madrid midweek on April 2nd. Real Betis, they were resting. They were getting prepared for the match against Barcelona, but we had to get ready for the match against Atletico Madrid already, and we won 1-0. And then we went on to face Real Betis on April 5th, which tied 1-1. We played 3 games on that week, 3 total games, and Real Betis have played 2. And like I've said, before those 2 matches that Real Betis played, they had a 14-day break. That is how fresh Real Betis were against us, and that is how fatigued we were going up against Betis. So no, this whole thing about drawing 1-1 and how this could be the end of the world, it is not. Barcelona will rise back up again. We just had to go through a lot of fixtures over the past 10 days. Real Betis have been a phenomenal team, a team that I do respect. They are currently in 5th place. They wanted this result. They're in the qualifications for the Europa League, and that's good for them. 48 total points. Barcelona have 67. Now I do want to speak about Raphinha, because another player that gave that, let's just say, a sense of negative energy, it was Raphinha. And unfortunately for Raphinha, in the last 2 minutes and going well after the match, Raphinha was fighting with multiple people, especially the refs. A lot of the Barcelona players were trying to stop Raphinha from escalating this whole situation, and maybe for Raphinha to get like a 10-match ban or something crazy like that. Hansi Flick even had to stop him, but Raphinha was trying to shrug Hansi Flick and say, no, get out of my way, I have to speak to the ref. He also pushed Stegen, and Stegen was like, what the hell, like, why are you pushing me? I did not do anything to you. And Raphinha was pushing back, and it was just bad, right? Everybody was saying, like, when I uploaded that short, people were saying like, oh, Kevin, you're just trying to put things out of context and they were never fighting. Bro, Raphinha did push Stegen, and Stegen pushed back. Okay, that is a form of fighting. Yes, there is context behind that. The reason why Raphinha was furious was because the linesman was getting annoying to Raphinha, and I do think that part of the reason why Raphinha even reacted in that way was like 80% his fault. Yes, he is a little tempered right now, but for a good reason, because if you look at the past 3 matches for Raphinha, he played 33 minutes against Real Betis. He did nothing. He played 94 minutes against Atletico Madrid, but he did nothing. No goals, no assists, nothing. He played an okay game, like he was creating chances, but in terms of putting goals and putting out assists, he did nothing. And against Girona, where Barcelona won 4-1, he was on the bench. Before the match against Girona, which was Osasuna, he did not play. So he has been very quiet over the past few matches for Barcelona overall. And I believe that this is where the temper does come from, okay? Because even before that, in the match against Argentina, where they lost 4-1, Raphinha did nothing. He just got a yellow card. So things have not been going well for Raphinha sportingly, right? To no assist, no goals, and he wants that. Ever since he told Argentina que se jodan, everything went downhill. But let's not pretend that because of this bad spell that Raphinha has been bad, okay? I'm not willing to go out here and say, I'm going to be critical about Raphinha and he's been playing bad. No, let's remember what Raphinha was before the international break. A lot of this does have to do with mental fatigue, physical fatigue, etc. Just bad luck. But before the international break, 1 assist against Atletico Madrid, 2 goals and 1 assist against Benfica, a goal against Benfica yet again, 2 assists against Atletico Madrid where they tied 4-4. He was on form and it was amazing to see him play. But yet again, the media is starting to slash on Raphinha just because in the past 3 to 4 matches, Raphinha has been quiet. And I find that a little funny, right? Because when we look at Vinicius before the international break, Vinicius was also very quiet, but nobody said anything. I did not even say anything. I did not call out Vinicius and I said, oh, Vinicius has been so quiet. He's a fraud. He should have never won the Ballon d'Oro. But no goals or assists against Villarreal, no goals or assists against Atletico Madrid, a goal against Rayo Vallecano, but nothing against Atletico Madrid again, nothing against Real Betis, nothing against Real Sociedad, nothing. And there was no noise. Nobody said anything. But with Raphinha, just because he has not scored or provided an assist in the past 4 matches, now everybody wants to get on top of Raphinha. It doesn't make any sense. To me, the media is being very unfair. So overall, the fact that Raphinha was acting like this on the pitch, it ultimately led towards a lot of things going up against him, okay? Like, it's just a lot of things that accumulated towards that moment. The loss with Brazil, he returned, he was not used, very little goal impact. The tie against Betis, he was creating chances, but nothing happened. It happens to all players. This type of frustration, it happens. And I do think that right now, Raphinha just needs to calm down. Barcelona played well. We created chances. We faced a Betis side that executed a low block, which is not normal. Betis usually like to play very high, create chances, play football against us, but it was not normal to see that Betis were on a low block. They desperately wanted the 1-1 tie. But this was a match where we did create, but nothing clicked, nothing was finished, and that is just how football is. We played an amazing game against Atletico Madrid last year, which ended 2-1 back in December. It was an amazing game, right? To go look back at that match, Barcelona had an entertaining, phenomenal match, but we still lost. And in this match against Real Betis, we played levels below in terms of performance, the passes, the goals, and everything, but yet we tied against Real Betis 1-1. Sometimes football is like that. Sometimes football doesn't make any sense. But overall, I believe that Barcelona, like all players, are going through a mental fatigue, right? 2 goals in the past 2 matches, it seems a little off. To me, football has always been a mentally demanding sport, especially when these players have to play every 3 to 4 days. It requires so much sustained attention, quick decision making, a lot of tactical awareness. You have to study, learn, make mistakes, repeat, improve, and especially under the pressure of frequent matches. And these matches do count, by the way, because we are in the last 2 months of the season. I can see the mental fatigue rising higher and higher. So what's very important for these players to find the sleep, the recovery, the relaxation, the mental techniques, right? Get the 7 to 9 hours of rest per night. Go through meditation to reduce the stress. Try to balance your lifestyle, right? Like, make sure that when you're not training and you're not playing games, you put your attention towards something else, like reading, painting, go out and talk with some friends. Don't even think about football because you want to prevent the burnout. And yes, that includes Raphinha. I believe that in some way Raphinha is burning out, but the spark can quickly come back up. And I do think that because of this, Hansi Flick is not going to punish Raphinha and tell him that, you're going to be sitting out on the next game, you're not going to be playing. I don't think that's going to happen. I believe that Hansi Flick understands what these players are going through, how unfair the league has been by making us play multiple matches, and everything's going to be okay. Because the same thing can be said with Pedri. Pedri does look tired. He still presses, he still organizes play, he still retains the ball, but Pedri did not have the same level of impact in the match against Betis. Does that mean that Hansi is going to drop him because Pedri has played a level below? No. Everything has to be understood and the context has to be very clear. I believe that in the end, Barcelona will rise up and we will get a good result against Dortmund, a match that is coming up later this week. So that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.